not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Welcome to the Ask the Experts show with local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Enjoy being educated in such topics as personal injury law, community association law, family law, bankruptcy law, along with health show topics like pain management, men's health, and dental implants. Now, sit back and enjoy today's Ask the Experts with host Steve-O.
Hey, good evening. I am talking to you today. I got my vaccination today. I had so many friends try to talk me out of it, but I'm feeling great. So we're ready to go. I have got such a huge surprise for you tonight. You know, I've always tried to get the shows you've asked for, and we had so many people ask us about an employment show, and we had people ask us about health care. I didn't even know there was a health care law, but I sure knew about employment law, but we've just had no openings until about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I am telling you, first of all, we were lucky. We found one of the finest law firms in Florida that actually does both employment law and healthcare law. Let me introduce you to our expert, Miss Grady of Grady Legal. Jacqueline, I am so glad to have you as part of the show.
Thank you for having me, Steve. I appreciate it.
So, I mean, I cannot believe there is a health care law. Is it because of COVID?
No, there's actually been healthcare law for quite some time, and it's usually with hospital regulations and doctor regulations. But what we do is quite different because we've taken the labor and employment with healthcare. 56% of Americans are insured through their employer.
Right.
So there's a huge need to make sure that employers are providing the correct type of healthcare plans for their employees. And it hasn't been addressed. So we've sort of stepped in and filled that void.
So do you work with the employer or do you work with the employee?
The answer to that is yes.
Good.
We work with both because obviously a great company requires great employees and healthy employees are necessary. So we work with those employers to ensure that their employees are having a plan design that makes sense because it's not a one-size-fits-all.
Right. Okay, so I want to hear all about your firm.
Sure.
How long have you been in practice for?
I've been practicing just about 21 years in Pennsylvania.
Just about.
I know, now I'm aging myself. In Pennsylvania as well as in Florida. I'm licensed in both states. And I opened Grady Legal in February of 2016. And that's when we really started doing this labor, employment, healthcare mashup law, if you will.
Now, you're out of Deerfield. Now, I want to tell people, though, that you do Zoom.
Correct.
So it doesn't matter if they're in Broward or at Palm Beach or up in Vero, you can still handle business because you zoom in on your business.
Correct. We service everybody throughout the state of Florida. Our main office is in Deerfield and our satellite office is up in Vero Beach.
So what made you go, I mean, you started off, I'm sure, with employment law.
Yes.
What made you go into healthcare?
So it became sort of in vogue about 10 years ago for companies to institute what's called wellness programs. And the whole goal of it was to make healthier employees through tobacco cessation programs, weight loss programs, that sort of thing. The goal being they lose weight, we have healthier employees, we're going to have lower premiums and better healthcare plans.
That's right.
And I got involved because a lot of these programs were being implemented in very discriminatory manners. So I had companies ask me to help them make sure they were implemented in compliance with the Affordable Care Act, as well as, civil rights laws. So I came in, I did that. After a few years of these wellness programs and employees doing phenomenal jobs of getting healthier and better lifestyle type choices, we weren't seeing the end result of better premiums for the employers. And so that's when the question started to arise, why is this happening? Our employees are healthier than they've ever been. Why is my premium going up 20, 30, 40%?
Right.
So that's how we got
Why
involved in
was
that.
it going up?
So these wellness programs we're usually being offered by the insurance carriers as sort of, some fluff. Like, hey, look, if you take our plan, we'll provide this wellness program. And what it ended up being was a feeder program into making claims. And what a lot of people don't realize, unlike property insurance or auto insurance, insurance companies in healthcare actually want to have higher claims because then they can charge more for a premium.
Wow. Okay, so I know people are wondering, do you do anything with Medicare at all?
We don't do anything with Medicare right now. We really are just focused on employer-sponsored healthcare plans or people who are uninsured and get surprise medical bills and that sort
You
of thing.
help companies with their guide, putting a guide together, an employment guide together.
Correct.
So did you include healthcare in that guide?
So this is what a lot of people don't know with employers. They are governed by ERISA. It's a federal law. Healthcare plans are governed by ERISA.
They have to have it.
They have to have it. It's a fiduciary responsibility that they manage that plan for the benefit of the employees. And so it's not
But a new business wouldn't even know that.
Exactly. So we come in and help them ensure that they're complying with ERISA.
Well, now I'm seeing more and more why you combine the two. How much of your business is healthcare now?
It has exploded. It is. We get calls every single day. And employers are starting to see, I've been delivering this message now for a couple of years, and employers are starting to call saying, why are my premiums going up? What's happening? And we're going in, we're analyzing those claims, we're finding out what's happening, and we're dealing with the employees to make sure that they are handling their medical bills, their surprise medical bills. A lot of employees are functionally uninsured, meaning they can't meet their deductible amounts.
Oh.
We have high deductible plans being put in place by employers, so they can't afford the $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 deductible.
Right.
So we're helping them figure out how to manage their healthcare plans better.
I love that.
And more efficiently.
I love that. So you could actually do, if someone had a company right now in Tampa, you could actually, because it's all federal, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
We're going to talk her into Philadelphia anyway. So how long have you been doing, though, the health care?
It started with these wellness programs about 8 years ago, and now it's really morphed into looking at the healthcare costs. There's about 20 to 30% of any healthcare bill is fraud, waste, and abuse. They're incorrect billings. So if you have a company and you have 200 people on your health insurance plan and 30% of all their bills are incorrect, that is a huge markup.
Wow.
So we can go in and save, if you have 200 employees, we can save you 6 to 7 figures off of your premium if you allow us to go in and analyze your claims.
Did you hear that? I mean, that is amazing. Now, do you charge to analyze?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's a flat fee.
Okay.
And it's based upon how many years we have to review, how many employees, how big the company is, and exactly what sort of results you're looking for. And so that's how we determine what the fee would be.
So what if we have smaller companies, mom and pops right now, that have 10 employees? Can you help them?
Absolutely. We help any size. One of the things that we can offer is for high deductible type plans where people may not be able to afford the medical care. We will actually come in, the employer will pay us to represent the employee to negotiate those medical bills and fight those medical bills that are incorrect.
You know what I love about your firm? You have actually been doing this a lot longer than anyone else has.
Correct.
So you're more experienced. What are some of the things that are trending?
So obviously the big thing is COVID, right?
Yeah.
That's the one that we get a lot of calls about. And of course it started when things first shut down with the CARES Act and the expanded of the Family Medical Leave Act. And now it's morphed in, can I require vaccines? Can we require masks? Somebody still wants time off because they have an at-risk family member at home. So we are seeing those questions. So that's obviously the big one. But the other one that's sort of lurking in the shadows is hospitals are billing freely on COVID. And we are already seeing individuals who are on ventilators or ICU stays. We're seeing over $100,000 claims hit companies' insurance.
Because they can bill out for more for COVID.
Correct.
Whether they have COVID or not.
There's that aspect as well.
I keep hearing that.
Yes.
Is that true?
It is true. We have some evidence of people going in for sore throats, and it's not they test negative for COVID and they're being billed for COVID.
Do you see companies are going to have to mandate mask and vaccinations?
Yes.
Okay.
We're already seeing it on the federal level. I think President Biden just
Yes.
said all federal employees have to be vaccinated. I think Broward County may have just issued a mask mandate for all county buildings. So we're going to see this on local levels and federal levels, and we're also going to see the private sector require vaccines and masks.
You know, there's going to be some unions that are going to fight this.
Absolutely.
One of them is going to be the post office workers. They've already talked about that they're not going to mandate. So do you actually represent also unions?
I do not represent unions.
Okay.
That's a whole separate, area of law with the National Labor Relations. So we don't get involved in that.
Listen, there are so many things to know. And what I love about your firm is you know what you're doing. We're going to go to break. Jacqueline, give everybody your phone number at the office if they'd like to give you a call tomorrow.
Sure. It's 754-333-0313, and we do provide a free 15-minute consultation to anyone who calls.
Beautiful. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we'll have more with Grady Legal. We're talking about healthcare, legal healthcare. We'll be right back.
Grady Legal PA is a boutique labor, employment, and healthcare firm serving clients throughout Florida. Founded by Jacqueline Grady, Grady Legal is helping companies and individuals fight back against the predatory billing schemes of America's healthcare system and insurance carriers. Jacqueline is at the forefront of these emerging legal issues and was featured in the Wall Street Journal for her efforts to combat inflated hospital charges. For over 20 years, Jacqueline Grady has assisted businesses and employees in navigating the various federal and state laws governing discrimination, overtime pay, and fiduciary duty under healthcare plans. If your health insurance premiums are exploding, deductibles increasing, and are still receiving surprise medical bills, contact Grady Legal PA, as a high percentage of bills contain incorrect or fraudulent charges. If you want an evaluation of whether there has been a violation of discrimination or wage laws, contact Grady Legal today at 754-333-0313, 754-333-0313.
And we are back. This is the Ask the Expert show. We're here with Grady Legal, the owner of the firm, Jacqueline Grady, and she does handle employment law, and we'll be getting into that next month really heavily. But I really wanted to get into today about healthcare law because you don't hear about that much. And I got to tell you, if you're a company and you're worried about these high premium rates, you might be overpaying. And you just continue to do the same thing where Jacqueline can sit down with you and possibly show you where you could be doing this for a lot less.
Absolutely.
That's the bottom line.
It is. And I think everyone makes the mistake thinking healthcare and benefit plans are one size fits all.
And you're stuck with it.
You're stuck with it. We're going to use the same broker that we've used time and time again. And we see this where they slide a piece of paper saying HMO, PPO, bronze, silver, gold plan. And that's
Right.
and everyone thinks, well, that's what I can pick from. And it ends up there's actually alternative choices like direct pricing, direct primary care for your employees, and you can substantially cut the amount that you're paying on insurance premiums.
And, you know, as hard as it is to get employees nowadays, you want to make sure you've got a really good plan to induce them to come work for you.
It's unfortunate because I think a lot of people look at health benefits, they sort of put it on the back burner until they get that bill for the
That
premium.
first bill, right.
And I look at companies, they'll analyze every line item on their budget. Payroll is usually number one, their health care is usually 2 or 3. And for some reason, they will not analyze their health care plan to make sure that they're having cost savings and it's being run efficiently.
But that's important.
It's huge. And they don't realize what options they have.
Because I hear people that I know who get a new job go, oh, they got a great health care plan, before they say that they pay well.
Well, Steve, I wish I had a nickel for every time somebody called me and said, I have great insurance.
Right.
But I have this huge bill. And I sit there and say, well, it doesn't look like you have great insurance. Do you know that 70% of all bankruptcies filed are because of medical bills? And
What, that high?
that high. And 70% of those bankruptcies, people actually had health insurance. And that does not include the people with credit card debt that have charged their medical bills onto their Visa or their Amex. So the rate of bankruptcies, because people cannot afford medical care, is just astronomical.
What are people doing now with COVID? Because they didn't plan for that.
No one planned for it. And I can tell you the insurance companies are going to make money, and the hospitals. Corporate medicine is billing freely under COVID.
Why can't we stop that?
Because no one, first off, we're obviously in sort of unprecedented territory
Right,
with a
that's true.
pandemic. But it's because no one really pays attention to their healthcare plans and making sure their benefits are in line with what their company actually needs. And that's where we can come in and start looking at that, and we can analyze, was somebody really in ICU for 28 days? Was this coded correctly? Was this upcoded? Are these charges fraudulent? We can help bring those amounts down.
So give me an example. Someone who you analyzed the last 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, so we have an interesting one where we have company calls, they have a huge increase on their premium, and they're fully insured. And what that means is your carrier manages your entire claim. So Blue Cross
Okay.
Blue Shield or United Healthcare. And they manage the entire process. Like I told you before, the higher the claim, the more your premiums are. Insurance companies have a interest to keep those claims hitting the
Right.
books, right? So they're looking at their claims saying, we don't understand why our health insurance went up so much. Everyone seems to be doing relatively well. And we started
They're
finding...
just accepting it.
Well, they have been, but now they're starting to question it, because once we started digging in, we found out that there is a claim for somebody that has a third-degree burn.
Okay.
It's a smaller company. You would know if somebody had that significant of a burn, right?
Yeah.
That's not something that someone's going to take leave, someone's going to ask for FMLA leave, someone's going to miss some significant time of work, someone's going to talk about what happened.
Okay.
No idea. We cannot find. And so there's a good chance that this is a fraudulent type of claim.
How often do you find those?
All the time.
That's
It is
scary.
It is routine.
Routine?
It is routine. That's why I go back to, 20 to 40% of all bills are incorrect. So if you can shave off that 20 or 40%, that's a huge savings.
Let me tell you, if you own a business, I'm telling you, it is worth you sitting down with Jacqueline and her staff to sit down. Maybe there's nothing there, but then again, there could be thousands and thousands of dollars that you're overpaying.
Overpaying, and your plan design may be so poor that you're overpaying for services that you don't need.
Right. See, I wouldn't even think of that.
Exactly.
I want to talk about COVID. That's like on everybody's mind right now.
Sure.
And what are you hearing? This is off the paper. What are you hearing about hospitals now? Are they inundated now?
So obviously there's hot spots throughout the country.
Okay.
But yes.
What about here in South Florida?
inundated?
Really?
Yep, we're starting to run out of ICU beds. From what I understand,
Right.
that may not be the consistent with every hospital, but there certainly has been a significant uptick in COVID cases.
So there really has.
Yes.
You don't have any idea how many people ask me about that, and I really don't know. Now I do. So the numbers are going up.
Yeah, there's an interesting story I heard where one of the hospitals, they stopped testing vaccinated people who were coming in for elective surgeries. So
Okay.
knee replacements, gallbladder
Yeah.
removals, that sort of thing. So they had
Wait a minute, they stopped testing them?
they stopped testing the people who were vaccinated.
Okay.
That was the policy. They did not follow the policy. And they found out, they kept testing, and they found out a lot of people who were vaccinated were still testing positive for COVID.
Wow. That's amazing, because I actually had both of my knees replaced, and they stuck me in a nursing home to rehab, of all places. And that's where I got my COVID at.
Okay.
And, I'm going to ask you something. This is not a political question at all. Have you been vaccinated?
I have.
Okay. So you do believe in it.
I believe in the science.
Okay.
I come from a family of physicians.
You do?
Yeah, so of course they were thrilled when they found out I was going to be a lawyer.
Yeah, right. No, I asked you that because I have waited. Now, of course, I've had COVID, but they still say you still should have the injection. And I finally got it today. And I got to tell you, I was scared
Sure.
because we get so many conflicting stories. Now, if someone on the show said, should I get vaccinated? That's up to you. Don't ask me. That's up to you. But you are around this. You see it.
I do, and my response, I know there's a lot of conflicting evidence out there, and, can you transmit COVID if you have the vaccine? And one of the things that I tell is that this is such a novel virus. They're
Right.
still studying it.
Yes.
Viruses mutate.
That's one of my problems with it.
Yeah.
They are still studying it.
Yeah. So we are not going to have definitive answers. It's not like something that's been around for 10, 15, 20 years, and there's enough evidence to support, one decision or another. So we really just kind of have to go with the flow and look out for each other and try to take care of one another.
So how are you planning with your clients? I mean, there's another spread that's out there now, and they're saying there might be others. When you sit down with them, do you have to do it differently now because of what might be happening in the future?
No, we're pretty.
Insurance companies aren't going to cut these people out, are they?
No,
Okay.
no, they shouldn't. And there's going to be questions about long COVID. That's why this is really an exciting area of law for me, because it's ever changing. We don't know what's going to happen with COVID and the long-term effects with people who have long-term COVID, and the ramifications of some of these hospital stays. But one of our mantras at the firm is expect the unexpected. With healthcare, there's always something new. There's always another roadblock being thrown up. So we're always kind of be willing to adapt and be flexible and understand when our clients call us, try to understand what their true needs are and what is the end goal, and then try to figure out the solution and kind of reverse engineer it.
I love what you're doing.
I do too.
I love what you're doing. I'm going to ask you a strange question. Why should I hire your firm?
Because no one else is doing what we're doing. What a lot of lawyers, and you'll see like patient advocacy firms, what they do is they'll say they negotiate. Well, anybody can call a hospital and get a 10 or 20% discount off a bill. They're that willing to do it. What we do is we say, what are you getting that 10% off? Inflated charges, right? This
Right.
isn't Macy's. It's not a sale on a Sunday.
Don't they freak out when you show them what they charged you and what it should be?
Yeah, we have a proprietary method to determine what the true cost of care is supposed to be. So we don't negotiate down. We say, this is the cost. And because I come from a family of physicians and we have the best medical personnel anywhere in the world, they deserve to be paid. So we tell people, you're going to pay something. You're just not going to pay these really overinflated charges.
That's the key. They're overinflated.
Exactly. See, I want to play a little game with you.
Okay.
We call it truth and dare.
Oh, okay.
Okay. There was a hospital that charged $429 for an aspirin.
God.
Is that true?
No. I mean, they did, I'm sure.
It's true, and they dared to do it. And that's the sort of things
And you found it.
we found it. And we went through, volumes of medical records and found how many times they charged $429 for an aspirin. So if you get a 10% discount off that, that's not a really big savings off $429. And we go back and say, well, we can get an entire bottle for $4.99 at Walgreens.
Oh, my God. My daughter cut her finger, and they steri-stripped it.
Yep.
$260 for 5 steri-strips.
Yes.
Can they sleep at night, these hospitals?
So, I always come back to you. Sometimes you're paying for the experience, not necessarily the time or but one of the issues that corporate medicine has in this country is they don't do cost analysis. They don't know how much they paid for those steri strips.
You gotta be kidding.
I'm not kidding. And look, we all understand, an emergency and the gauze is flying, and there's a lot of, you can't really keep track of every single Band-Aid.
Right.
I get it, but you should have some sort of knowledge of how much you're spending on Band-Aids.
Wow. I got to tell you, I can't even wait for our next show.
Same here.
Jacqueline will be with us again next month. We'll be talking about employment law, and we've got to talk about more healthcare law. There's a lot of businesses out there that we're not even aware of this, and that's what we have a show like this for. And I got to thank your assistant, Jennifer.
Yes, she's really the brains behind the
Oh my!
operation.
This wouldn't have happened if it weren't for Jennifer. Well, you started the ball rolling, but I know she's listening. I want to thank Jennifer. You're always right on the ball, and I love your firm. I endorse your firm now. We're going to go to break, and thank you for tuning in tonight. Thank you, Jacqueline. The name of the firm is Grady Legal. Give everybody your phone number.
754-333-0313.
And what's the website? You got a beautiful website.
Thank you. It's www.gradylegal.com.
Grady, Grady. And folks, I got to tell you, if you have a business, call them tomorrow. And we're going to go to break, and we'll see you soon.
Grady Legal PA is a boutique labor, employment, and healthcare firm serving clients throughout Florida. Founded by Jacqueline Grady, Grady Legal is helping companies and individuals fight back against the predatory billing schemes of America's healthcare system and insurance carriers. Jacqueline is at the forefront of these emerging legal issues and was featured in the Wall Street Journal for her efforts to combat inflated hospital charges. For over 20 years, Jacqueline Grady has assisted businesses and employees in navigating the various federal and state laws governing discrimination, overtime pay, and fiduciary duty under healthcare plans. If your health insurance premiums are exploding, deductibles increasing, and are still receiving surprise medical bills, contact Grady Legal PA, as a high percentage of bills contain incorrect or fraudulent charges. If you want an evaluation of whether there has been a violation of discrimination or wage laws, contact Grady Legal today at 754-333-0313, 754-333-0313.
Thanks for listening.